Hello YouTube, I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney. On this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answer they need from an employment attorney. It's 10:30 p.m. It's 10:30 p.m. and I'm making you a video because I gotta have something go live tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Let's face it, we got a schedule to meet, and so we're making a video for tomorrow morning, and we have a tough one. We have a tough one right here, but we're going to answer it because people need answers. YouTube user, so no, yes. So no, yes. Says, I am a physically disabled veteran and a federal employee. I was forced to do work for an employee who is not, and I assume they mean is not a physically disabled veteran. I assume that person is a federal employee if they're an employee you work with, but I assume they are not a physically disabled veteran. My supervisor said she would get me fired if I don't do the work. I cursed her out and said, that's your boyfriend, not mine. You do his work. Then I said something wrong. Now I'm under investigation for sexual harassment. Okay. So sorry to hear about the situation you find yourself in. I don't know what you said to your supervisor, so I can't say if it was sexual harassment or not, but it sounds like you admit you shouldn't have said what you said, and that's good. That's good that you know you shouldn't have said it, so let's move on from that. You're physically disabled and you're a veteran. Thank you for your service. Let's take veteran status and set it aside because it doesn't sound particularly relevant to this situation. I could be wrong, and if you want to correct me about that, go ahead and hit me up in the comments down below. But your veteran status doesn't sound like it played a big part here. Now, it does sound like your physical disability may have, at least in your mind, right? I don't know if you have accommodations for your disability or not. But I don't know. It's important that I don't know, because if you have accommodations and what your supervisor was asking you to do breach those accommodations, then we're talking about a claim. You have a source of leverage. If you don't have accommodations, or if your accommodations were not broken, not breached by what your supervisor told you to do, then your disability is not relevant to this conversation. Unless it was somehow a motivating factor, like your supervisor's doing this to you because of your disability, which you don't say, right? And just because you didn't mention it in your comment doesn't mean it's not true. I'm just saying it doesn't sound like a motivating factor in the way you put things in this comment. So right off the bat, you mentioned two protected classes. You're physically disabled, you have a disability, and you're a veteran. From the way you phrase things, it sounds like neither of those protected classes, your veteran status or your disability, it sounds like they were not motivating factors to your supervisor telling you to do this additional work for this other employee. It seems like you believe that the fact that your supervisor was dating this other employee might be why you were assigned this work. Now, there actually could be a claim there. It's called a quid pro quo claim, where you're not getting down with the supervisor, so you're being assigned work, or you're losing opportunity, or something like that, right? Like you're being harmed because you're not making whoopee with the supervisor. The classic example of this is, and we're playing Hollywood a little bit, right? Like the way this is portrayed in Hollywood is two women are peers in a company, and their troll of a boss is a troll. He's a bad dude, and one woman is willing to make nice with him. She's willing to flirt with him, maybe go on dates with him, whatever, right? The other woman has too much pride, too much self-respect to play that game with this troll of a boss. So the woman who flirts with the boss and goes on dates with him gets the promotion, and the woman who doesn't languishes in her role, and she is eclipsed by this woman who played the game. That's how it's presented in Hollywood, commonly, right? Here for you, it's a little different. Two men, female supervisor. I don't actually, it sounds like it's two men. Yeah, I can infer from what you said it's two men, right? So it's two men, and the female supervisor is dating one of these guys, potentially, or you're alleging that she is. I don't know if that's true or not. That's something that you seem to feel. And the man who's dating the female supervisor is getting his work reassigned to someone else. Now, that's a claim. And it was a source of leverage, and it still is a source of leverage for you. But it seems like, by your own admission, you done fucked up. Because you went and you said something messed up to the supervisor that, I don't know if it was sexually harassing or not, but it's very clear. It's very clear that you feel it was wrong. So now, instead of having just a source of leverage, right, this potential quid pro quo claim, and you know, we can argue if it fits the bounds of the elements there or not, but I think it does. Instead of having just a source of leverage and being wronged, you've lost your temper. And you've handed the employer very legitimate grievances against you, potentially, because by your own admission you said what you admit that what you said is wrong. So this supervisor may or may not have a sexual harassment claim against you. The supervisor may or may not choose to pursue that sexual harassment claim against you. But now the employer is investigating you for what you said, and they may certainly choose unilaterally to pursue that against you. So you could bring your claim, but let's face it, your claim is going to be somewhat illegitimized by what you said after. Like, people are not going to want to hear you out as much because you said something messed up after. That's not really how it's supposed to work. They're supposed to hear about your claim and hear it with a neutral mind and fairly judge it, and then hear the claim that you committed as well, right? And then hear that with a neutral mind and you know, judge them both separately. And that's great, except that's not how human beings work, right? Could a robot do that? Could an AI? I don't know, maybe, but I'm not one of those things. I'm a human. And as a human, I sit as an arbitrator, and I try to be as fair as I possibly can. And I watch a lot of juries and judges decide cases, and I'll tell you, it's going to be tough to get them to fairly pay attention to your quid pro quo claim if you said something wildly messed up to the supervisor right after that. But don't get me wrong, that claim is still a source of leverage, and you may be able to use it to save your hide, right? Sounds like they might be gearing up to terminate you. You may be able to go on the offensive and use your claim to save your job, if that's what you want. And it also depends. Like, listen, it depends. There's a spectrum of the bad things you could have said, right? Like, you could have said, well, I would date you too if it would get me out of work. Is that a good and respectful thing to say to your female supervisor? No. Is it horrific? No. Right? There's much worse things you could say. Much worse things that I'm not going to, like, I can imagine them. I've seen them in cases. I'm not going to say them here. One, because it's probably going to trigger some people who watch this channel, but because they've probably been the victim of that kind of thing. But two, YouTube wouldn't like it. So, you know, there's a spectrum, and how bad you went, how hard you went in the paint will determine how successful you may or may not be in utilizing your valid claim as leverage to save your job, right? There's limitations. There's limitations to what we can do to save you. But that being said, that's how I'd approach this. I would tell you right now to go hire EEO counsel for your job on the federal level as a federal employee if you want to keep this job. And I would further tell you that you better button up and fly right for the rest of your career. you want to finish this job and retire. And I'm not trying to make you mad. Listen, you have a valid claim. If that supervisor is reassigning work because she's dating a guy, that is a claim. You are being wronged. You are being wronged. No doubt. That being said, there's a way to go about it, and there's a way to not go about it and try to lose your job. It sounds like you opted for option number 2. And so we're throwing a Hail Mary, see if we can save your job. I don't even know how I really feel about that. If you didn't admit that what you did was wrong, I might not feel great about even helping you, frankly. But it sounds like you're experiencing some personal growth, and you're like, yeah, I messed up. Sounds like you got some regret, and that's good. That's positive. Yeah, you need an attorney. The answer here is you need an attorney. Sooner rather than later. Like, you should be hiring an attorney if you can. You should be doing consultations tomorrow and for the rest of this week. Try to find an attorney who can help you with this. Okay? I hope this helps. I'm not going to go so far as to wish you good luck because I don't know what you said. I don't know how bad it was. I may not actually wish you luck, to be frank with you. I mean, you were wronged. It sounds like at least you believe you were wronged. And if what you're saying is true, that you were certainly wronged. So in terms of pursuing that claim in which you were sincerely, legitimately wronged, I wish you luck. In terms of what you said to the supervisor that you feel was so wrong, that's on you. If this video was helpful, like, subscribe, comment down below. Share the channel so it can grow. Take care, everyone.